We just people from the north side. Once the Timmy's hit the shore fine. Winter ready on the full ties. Heavy traffic during 4-5. Gotta hustle on your own time. Color people every port side. We just people from the north side. Once the Timmy's hit the shore fine. Winter ready on the full ties. Heavy traffic during 4-5.
Hey guys, what's going on? It's your host, your boy George Mackay, back here live on location at the Man Lucha, and I'm sitting down with the one and only Green Phantom. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing fantastic, man. Feeling the green today like every other day, baby.
Well, let's talk about feeling the green. Today, the green goes up against the white in Los Medicos. How do you plan to counteract the behemoth that is a member of that trifecta that is very, very dangerous?
I've taken on big sacks of shit before in my life. Tonight will be no different, baby. I'm taking out the trash, one Medico at a time.
I like that. So being from Montreal has produced some of the best wrestling talents in the world, in the absolute world. Kevin Steen, El Generico, Sami Zayn come to mind. Obviously, Speedball Mike Bailey, yourself, Sexy Eddie.
Sexy Eddie, yeah.
What is with Montreal producing some of those wrestling talents? Like, is there something in the water over there? Or?
I don't know, man. It's a city with a lot of history. A lot of sports history, city of champions, I have to say maybe the Habs have inspired us in the past, maybe not so much these days, but we're just a great culture, and it goes back so old school that it's built upon itself, from the days of Ed Carpentier into the Rougeaus and whatnot, the Ledukes, to modern day. So in order to become a mecca of wrestling talent, it had to have a history to build upon, and it's a big snowball effect of wrestling out of Montreal, baby.
Absolutely is. Well, you also get a lot of crazy snowfalls over there, too. You guys get pounded with winter pretty bad over there.
No doubt, baby. I don't mind it, it's always green for me, whether it's white or not,
So have you ever thought about retiring to Iceland, where it's always green all the time?
Maybe Greenland, maybe, you know what I'm saying?
Actually, Greenland is apparently ice, and Iceland is very nice. I don't know, I got that from the Mighty Ducks, too.
Yeah, no, there's no plans to move. No plans to move, brother.
So, when I look at the Green Phantom character, I know that you said the green chose you and all that kind of stuff, but was the mask always a part of the decision as well, or was that something that kind of came with, I guess, evolution of the character itself?
It was the first part of the decision. Because I wasn't into wrestling, and I was about to get into wrestling. Well, I was always a fan as a kid and stuff, but I didn't know anything about the indie scene. And then I got a green mask as a gift, and went to the first ever IWS show with the green mask on because it was Halloween, and I was, I looked like I was going to be part of the show because I was a big guy already, but I was very rambunctious and in the front row, so much so that people thought I was going to be a plant, and. I knew a guy that was at the show, PCP Crazy Manny. I went to see this show because I knew him, but there's no way he was a wrestler. But of course it had to be him, because who has a name like PCP Crazy fucking Manny? Anyway, so I went and saw him at the show, and I loved it so much that I got hooked up with a trainer. And the next night on a wrestling radio show, they were talking about the show, and one of the hosts asked about, who is the guy in the green mask in the front row? He looked like he's gonna get involved or something, and it little you know that I would in the near future. And then I called up, being a shit disturber, little angel that I am, and I'm like, this guy, he's crazy, he's gonna kill everyone, he's gonna rip everyone's head off. And they're like, well, what's his name? And up until then, I hadn't thought about it at all. So the universe, through me, did some verbal diarrhea, and I went, Green Phantom, barf that shit up. Not a thought in the world. It was the universe that chose that for me, baby.
I absolutely love that. That is the greatest story I've ever heard. Now, I'm a big Kevin Steen fan. I'm a big El Generico fan, and you've been able to have locker room conversation with them, be able to battle with them,
beat their asses,
and beat their asses. Absolutely. When you look at your matches with Kevin Steen and El Generico, knowing where they are now, back then, would you have dreamed that their careers would have skyrocketed the way they did?
You could never dream these dreams. Whenever I talk to Kevin or Rami, I tell them, watching you guys every week is like watching dreams come true. It's such a beautiful thing to watch, and they're just so goddamn good, and they've worked so hard. And like for them, when I knew them more, wrestling was their life 24/7, So they lived, breathed, and shat this thing that we call wrestling, and for that alone, they're somewhere very deserving. Not just for talent, but perseverance, man. They're the shit.
Absolutely. I look at Montreal, like I said, as a mecca of pro wrestling, especially in Canada. Then you also got to throw Calgary in the mix. But we're here now in Toronto. The Toronto scene has definitely burst within the last, I want to say, 10 years to 12 years. Maybe even go back as far as 15.
I've been part of that, baby.
You have been part of that. When you look at the Toronto scene from where I guess you started to get involved with it to where it is now, could you believe it would be as amazing as it is out here in Toronto?
Yeah, I can, man. There's a lot of talent out here. Canada, I mean, I was going off of Montreal, but Canada is, we talk about hockey being our national sport, but wrestling has a good argument for it, A lot of good names from Canada, not just Montreal, but from Toronto, Winnipeg, of course. So not surprised at all. And every time you get a little green infusion, baby, that shit grows, because green is the color of growth. It's the color of the future, baby.
It's also the color of money. Well, not our money, American money mostly.
It certainly is. Well, 20s.
Well, 20s, yeah.
It's also the color, and people ask me, why green? There's so many reasons, but in this wrestling ring and in life, when you come to a stoplight, what color do you want to see, baby? You want to see green. Go, 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 go! Yeah!
Couple more questions, and then I'll let you prepare for the rest of the night ahead.
Yeah, baby.
You
prepare for the rest of the night.
I will. I'm going to be so excited about it. What does the rest of 2023 hold for the Green Phantom? I mean, you've had so many accolades, so many accomplishments, but is there anything that you want to tackle before this year's over?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I'm just getting into gear. I'm telling you, I'm at my best now at this late stage. I just keep getting better physically, mentally. My matches are the dopest right now. All my moves are fucking cool. So things I wanted to do, in 2 weeks I'll be wrestling in Mexico for the first time.
Amazing.
I'm like the bastard son, returning. I'll become a real luchador, this green go coming down to Mexico. I'm going to be, in the next year, I definitely plan to wrestle in Japan. It looks like I have something coming up in the spring in Korea, and just keep hanging and banging and do this dream as long as I can,
Absolutely, and you're, like I said, I've watched you now for a few years, and I'm very excited. I'm geeking out right now to be able to sit down and talk with you because I'm a huge fan.
Cheers.
But when I look at 5 years ago to where you are now, you definitely have leveled up. And I don't believe age has a number. I believe that's just what it is, a number only. I believe sometimes, like a fine wine, you get better with age and experience. Would you say now
this man knows what he's talking about?
That's right. I appreciate that. Would you say at this stage in your career that also as you're leveling up and you're getting better and your matches are dope as you stated, and I agree with that statement as well, and I got to call one of them a New Frontier, which was fantastic. You put that Kyle through a door, and who doesn't love to see that Kyle go through a door? It's absolutely amazing. But
Which Kyle? Oh,
that Kyle, yes.
Yeah.
Would you say that you're also in the stage now of giving the advice phase of your career as well, giving up to the next crop of talent coming up and letting them know your experiences and what you've been through?
100%, man. I really take that role as a teacher down to heart, seriously, because I'm always learning. I'm still getting better as it goes, and anything I can do, any experience I can impart on my opponents or anybody in the locker room, I love to do that. And heck, if it's my opponent, I feel like I'd be doing the crowd and everyone a disservice if I didn't pass on some knowledge and help the match better through my experience and my know-how.
I like that. And my final question, this is a serious question. This is a question that's going to get everyone out there ears perked up. Does the Green Phantom have an embarrassing moment on the road in wrestling, like something that might have happened, a road story, that nobody else knows, that this might be breaking news here on Straight Talk Wrestling?
Embarrassing?
Or just a really cool road story? Scratch embarrassing, just a really cool road story that you've never shared before?
I've shared them all. I'm an open book. But I'll go back to some people's favorite story. I was having I was booking a wrestling show in my hometown, and I got Jim the Anvil and Jake the Snake Roberts in for a match. And I didn't realize that before the last time they saw each other was at something called the Legends of Wrestling pay-per-view, where they had a backstage altercation and were fighting. And I didn't realize this until after I booked them. And as soon as I told, I picked up Anvil. As soon as I told him, I just wanted to let you know Jake's on the show, he looks at me all seriously, take me to him. I'm like, oh shit, Jim the Anvil and Jake the Snake are gonna fight in my parents' basement. What the fuck's gonna go on, So I bring them in, hoping for the, bracing for the worst, and Jim looks at him, he's like, you got any stuff? And Jake's like, yeah. And Anvil looks at me, go get a spoon. I'm like, okay. I go upstairs, that's my parents' basement. I get a spoon, I come back, and they're like, come back in a few minutes. And lo and behold, I did come back in a few minutes, and they were naked smoking crack together. Moral of the story, don't spoon with former wrestlers. I don't know, man, but that was crazy.
That's amazing. That's a memory that'll stick out of my head for a lifetime.
And by the way, I love both these guys. I've told this story in front of Jake a few times. He had no problem with it. Anvil, I never got to tell him in person, R.I.P., I love you, brother.
Absolutely. Two great legends for sure, and both rightfully in their places in the Hall of Fame. Green Phantom, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate you. I am a huge fan, and it's been an honor to sit down and talk with you. Guys, check out next week. We always got the best talent coming on Straight Talk Wrestling. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. The Green Phantom agrees. They should subscribe, right?
You got to subscribe to him. You got to subscribe to me. Get with the Green every day, every single way, baby.
That's it. Peace out, guys. We'll see you next week.
Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and turn on that notification bell so you get notified each time we post a video. Alternatively, you can check us out on all podcast platforms and hosted on Podbean. We are also available on the SNME network. That's the Sunday Nights Main Event Patreon. Please feel free to check us out there as well. And don't forget to follow us on all social media platforms at _Straight Talk on Twitter, at Straight Talk Wrestling on Instagram, Straight Talk Wrestling on Facebook, Straight Talk Wrestling on TikTok, and of course, you can check out all our merch at ProWrestlingTees.com.
I don't need a nigga cosign. Without the liquor, you become a victim. You ain't never got a pole mine. I ain't messing with this generation. Fuck your gen, I ain't got